This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple's trying the Office thing again. Heat may be warping iPad production. And a troubled Apple series finally gets a release date. It is Tuesday, the 16th of August, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplisafecom/macosken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. From the Third Time's a Charm file, Bloomberg says Apple will once again try bringing employees back to the office. According to the short report, the Cupertino company has set a September 5th deadline for corporate employees to be back in the office at least 3 days a week after delaying its return plans several times due to COVID-19 spikes. Did I say third time's a charm? Everybody has to be in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, according to the piece. They also have to be in on a regular third day a week to be determined by individual teams. Apple is said to have notified employees on Monday, though that was not said by Apple. Not publicly, anyway. The Cupertino company declined to comment for the Bloomberg report. Here's a story that seems likely to be all over the place today. Late Monday evening, Bloomberg ran a story saying Apple laid off many of its contract-based recruiters in the past week, part of a push to rein in the tech giant's hiring and spending, according to people with knowledge of the matter. How many is many? In this case, about 100. With an estimated headcount of 150,000 employees, 100 is about 0.07% of Apple's workforce. Not many by comparison, though it is roughly 100 people whose jobs were to hire other people. Bloomberg says the story is support of a previous piece it ran. The site points out it first reported last month that Apple was decelerating hiring after years of staffing up, joining many tech companies in hitting the brakes. At the same time, what the recently let go were reportedly told was that the cuts were made due to changes in Apple's current business needs. I'm not saying Bloomberg is wrong in its supposition regarding Apple's reasons. There's no way for me to know. At the same time, we don't know a lot about the contractors let go. Were they hiring for a specific project or purpose, for example? Bloomberg says they were let go across many regions, including at Apple offices in Texas and Singapore. Meanwhile, the piece indicates that not all of Apple's contract-based recruiters were dismissed, and none of its full-time recruiters were. Assuming it's true, the news is not nothing. It may not be as gloomy as Bloomberg indicates, though, except for the roughly 100 contractors let go. Definitely bad times for them. An Apple spokesman declined to comment on the decision, according to the report. That sort of reads like confirmation of the staffing change. Kind of. You know what people don't say much these days? Hot enough for ya? Yeah, it used to be just an inane thing we said. Now it leads to existential questions around mortality and, it turns out, whether we can have new iPads. I am not kidding. Cult of Mac highlights a Reuters report and a couple of Twitter posts from TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. First, let's make like REM and talk about the weather. Less like REM, let's talk about the weather in China. Quoting the Cult, which also quotes Reuters, temperatures over 105 degrees Fahrenheit have caused increased demand for air conditioning. At the same time, a drought has reduced hydroelectric power generation. Industrial users across 19 out of 21 cities in the Sichuan province were ordered to suspend production from the 15th of August until the 20th to prioritize residential power supply. According to the first of Ming-Chi Kuo's posts, a temporary power outage in Sichuan may affect iPad assembly plants in Chengdu, that would be Foxconn, and Chongqing, that would be Compal, although it's difficult to assess impacts on production currently, impacts should be limited if the power outage can end on the 20th of August. Man, if is doing a lot of lifting there, isn't it? Ming-Chi Kuo thinks so. In his second of 2 Twitter posts, the analyst said, flexible production scheduling by assemblers should also help lower the impact of power outages. However, need to pay attention to whether similar incidents will occur again in the next few months and affect Apple's new product shipments during the peak season. Because, right? New iPhones and new iPads. Cult of Mac says folks are expecting a couple of new iPad models this fall. That said, the piece says production problems in the Middle Kingdom are not likely to delay any tablet announcement, though supply may be tight, which is so unusual these days. One of the world's richest investors keeps adding to his Apple holdings. Apple Insider says Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway bought 3.9 million more Apple shares in the June quarter. That is on top of the $600 million worth of Apple shares Berkshire bought in the first quarter of this year. Historically, Buffett has been known to stay away from tech stocks, though he is pretty keen on Apple. He started buying shares in the iPhone and other stuff maker back in 2016, according to the report. Now, Apple Insider says Apple represents one of the 4 giants in Buffett's portfolio, alongside Berkshire Hathaway's insurance business, BNSF Railway Company, and Berkshire Hathaway Energy. Apple is the largest of Berkshire's holdings, according to the report. Reuters has run a really interesting piece on Apple tackling caste-based discrimination among Indian workers in Silicon Valley. According to Merriam-Webster, a partial definition of caste is one of the hereditary social classes in Hinduism that restrict the occupation of other members and their association with members of other castes, and a division of society based on differences of wealth, inherited rank or privilege, profession, occupation, or race. Officially, Reuters says caste discrimination was outlawed in India over 70 years ago. Funny, not funny thing about discrimination or social stratification, though, it often sticks around even when it's officially a thing of the past. Said to be doing a decent job combating it is Apple. 9to5Mac highlights the Reuters report. The piece says Apple actually updated its policies back in 2020 to explicitly prohibit discrimination on the basis of caste. The Reuters piece says that was added alongside existing categories such as race, religion, gender, age, and ancestry. While folks often think of Apple as forward-thinking, the report says Apple's Caste Edition was actually in reaction to a suit against the tech giant Cisco. California's employment regulator sued Cisco Systems on behalf of a low-caste engineer, according to Reuters, after that engineer accused 2 higher caste bosses of blocking his career. Funny, not funny again. Cisco argued that there was no evidence of discrimination, and besides, there are no legal protections for members of various castes, so what are we even talking about? For its part, Apple is said to have said, our teams assess our policies, training, processes, and resources on an ongoing basis to ensure that they are comprehensive. We have a diverse and global team and are proud that our policies and actions reflect that. While the added language is definitely a good sign for Silicon Valley, and while India outlawed caste discrimination over 70 years ago, it's hard to not think of this stance in light of Apple's planned and anticipated growth in India. Can of worms, kettle of fish, right side of history. Take your pick. More news in a moment, but first a word from Simply Safe, the right way to protect your home and sponsor of today's show. Who knows your home better than you? One of the things I love about Simply Safe is how much you put into making it work. What do you need? 1 outdoor camera, a couple of indoor cameras, no cameras but maybe extra door and window sensors? Your home is different than everybody else's, which is why Simply Safe lets you pick and choose exactly what you need to keep it safe. and you set it up yourself. It is super simple. I had my door sensors, keypad, and base station set up in well under an hour. Now, once your work is done, SimpliSafe takes over with 24/7 professional monitoring. They are ready to send help the moment it's needed, whether you're sleeping soundly at home, working away at work, or vacationing who knows how far away. Monitoring plans start at less than $1 a day, with no long-term contracts and no hidden fees. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/macOSKen. Go today to claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring. SIMPLI. Go to simplysafe.com/macOSKen. Monday was a big day of beta releases. Apple Insider ran a few pieces early in the day saying that Apple had seeded the 6th betas of iOS and iPadOS 16 to developers, along with the 6th betas of watchOS 9 and tvOS 16. I kind of assumed that would mean a new round of betas for public testers today, but Apple pulled a fast one. Apple Insider ran a piece late afternoon Monday saying that the 4th betas for iOS and iPadOS 16, as well as tvOS 16, were out to the public testing crew. If you're among the public testing people, you know what to do. If you're not, but you want to be, more info is available at beta.apple.com. The wait to be paid for waiting without being paid has ended. It's a case 9 years in the making. Way the heck back in 2013, according to a piece from 9to5Mac, retail workers in California sued Apple for time that they had to wait to have their bags checked before leaving work. The complaints weren't tied to the bag checks exactly, but to having to wait for them while they were not being paid. The report says a California judge dismissed the class action lawsuit in 2015, but that decision was appealed. The U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals then asked the California Supreme Court to clarify the law. In February of 2020, the California Supreme Court ruled that Apple must pay its retail workers for this time. In 2021, Apple offered a settlement of $30 million. Now, in 2022, 9 years after it began, that settlement has been approved. According to 9to5Mac, the settlement will see the workers receive an average payment of $1,328, while the lawyers in the case will receive about $10 million. Something inspirational on tap for Apple TV Plus. The streaming video service issued a press release and a trailer on Monday for the Kids and Family series, Life by Ella. The release says the show follows Ella as she returns to school with a brand new perspective, excitement for what the future holds, and a major seize-the-day mentality following her stint with cancer. With her best friend by her side, she is ready to tackle everything she was too afraid of before and determined not to let the minutiae of fake friends and social media status distract her. The show hits Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 2nd of September. If you want a sneak peek, you can catch the trailer on YouTube. And finally today, a seriously fraught series for Apple TV Plus finally has a release date. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release Monday announcing a premiere for Shantaram. The Hollywood Reporter ran an article about Apple grabbing the rights for the show in 2018. In February of 2020, production on the show was halted, according to a piece from Variety. Now, I know what you're thinking. COVID, right? Funny story. No. Turns out the guy they had hired as showrunner and screenwriter hadn't written all the scripts by the time they had already shot 2 episodes. Then COVID slowed everything down. Well, COVID and finding a writer to write the show, which reports say they did in November of 2020. And now, seriously, 4 years later, Apple says the show is premiering month after next. In case you've forgotten, the release says Shantaram follows a fugitive named Lynn Ford looking to get lost in vibrant and chaotic 1980s Bombay. Alone in an unfamiliar city, Lynn struggles to avoid the trouble he's running from in this new place. After falling for an enigmatic and intriguing woman named Carla, Lynn must choose between freedom or love and the complications that come with it. Charlie Hunnam of Sons of Anarchy and Pacific Rim leads the cast. You can finally see him in action on Friday, the 14th of October. That is when Apple will premiere the first 3 of 12 episodes. They are scheduled to run through the 16th of December. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplysafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.